You are a licensed social worker and you are a licensed community or certified community health worker. And that's different from sometimes you have professors or instructors or teachers who that's all they do is teach. They don't have real world experience. So talk about some of the things you all do. So when you say that, well, you have these social determinants of health, and so we help people do this, but you're able to help them because during the classroom, you all tell them what those resources are.
Yes, so they are learning from day one what a community health worker, what community health workers do. They're learning about social determinants of health from the very beginning. They're learning about public public health, and they're learning about upstream and downstream. So when there's issues, we want an upstream approach because we want to stop it before it happens. So when we look at these social determinants of health, we don't want them to happen anymore. So we have to go upstream and figure out what's going on. So one of the examples that we utilize is some people walking through the woods, and there's a creek, and this an individual keeps washing up, and they're pulling this individual out of the creek, and it happens again, and the group's pulling this person out of the creek, and it's happening again, pulling the person out of the creek, and someone says, "Let me go up there and see what's happening.
Right.
Let me go upstream."
Right. Right.
So they went upstream. It's a beautiful place to take a selfie. So they're turning around and taking selfies, and someone's falling down into the creek. So an upstream approach would be put plexiglass up there, put some type of barrier so that individuals can still take pictures, but they're not falling down.
Right.
That downstream approach is the Band-Aid. We're just pulling them out of the water, but we're not looking to see what the problem is. So we teach them about being proactive and looking for upstream approaches. We also have nurses that come in and teach about chronic conditions. They do a little bit with anatomy and physiology, so that they know some of the basics.
Right.
All of that has to be taught by a nurse, a registered nurse. The nurse also teaches them about vitals, and one thing I haven't mentioned this whole time is that our classes have been virtual since the pandemic. We tried to have an on-site class and nobody signed up. So our classes are virtual except for 2 labs. You have to come in for the to learn how to do the blood pressure and take vitals, and you also come in for CPR. Those are the only classes that you actually come on campus. We did have a request to do a on-site class, so we're looking at doing that in July, an on-site class. So there's portions that are taught by the nurse. The other portions have to be taught by individuals that are subject matter experts in that area. So that's part of my job as a program administrator, is making sure that the instructors that are coming on board have that subject matter expertise to teach that subject matter. So we also look at teaching about the lifespan. So we go from conception to geriatrics. And that's actually one of the areas that I most often teach with my early childhood and social work background. We talk about target populations because different populations, you're going to have to approach them a little bit differently.
Right.
So we've talked about homelessness. We've talked about individuals that are coming back to the community after being incarcerated. We talked about individuals with HIV. We've just recently added the gathering place. So they come in and talk about how to work with individuals that have been touched by cancer. And we switch it up because there's not enough time to do all of the target populations. But each one of those populations, you have to approach them differently. So we talk about what is unique and different about those populations. And then two things that I love to do with them are role plays.
I was about to ask
So
that.
we
I was
do
about to
role
ask
play so that they have the opportunity to practice those skills, practice those interviewing skills,
that.
those client-centered
Yep.
questions.
Yep.
So we have them practice that. And the other thing I'd love to do with them is we play Kahoot. So that's a little online competitive game, but it allows them to learn the content in a fun way.